All right, welcome everyone to session 2 of the Niche to Success system. Today, we are going to talk about brand and really dig into what that means, and we're going to have some fun. I have some fun stuff to do with you guys related to brand. Yeah, we're going to look at some examples. We're going to probably dig into some memories of some things and have some fun with it too, as usual. So here we go. Let's just first dig into what brand is. And I got to get to my notes here. So there is an American Marketing Association, and they have defined a brand as a name, term, design, symbol, or any other feature that identifies one seller's good or services as distinct from those of other sellers. A brand may identify one item, a family of items, or all items of that seller. So that's pretty clear cut, I think. Anybody have any trouble really understanding their definition of brand? Any questions about that? It's pretty much your identity. It is what makes people go, oh, that's utterly good stuff, or that's Funsational Finds, or that's Busy Bethy's, right? So brand is a known identity of a company in terms of what products and services they offer, but also the essence of what the company stands for in terms of service and other emotional, non-tangible consumer concerns. And that's a big piece of what we're going to talk about today, because that's the piece that really makes it from just the name association and the image association with the overall experience of the brand. So to brand something is when a company or person makes descriptive and evocative communications. I saw that word and I wanted to keep using it because I like it. Subtle and overt statements that describe what the company stands for. And as I said, we're going to get into some examples in a moment of companies that have really nailed it, and that there is absolutely no question about who they are out in the marketplace. And we're also, a little bit later on, going to look at some brands that haven't quite got it nailed. But yeah, they're almost there. So brand is big. And you know, I use the Tiffany's example a lot. Their brand is so powerful. It is the most important thing to the company, is their brand. And that's huge. It is, when you get it right, it is the absolute ultimum of what can happen, is that you don't even have to advertise, because your brand is just talked about and enjoyed by the customers, and they do all of your marketing for you, and there's no question about where they're going back. You become like a household name. Can you guys think of some household name type brands that other products, you may not be using that brand, but you still call it that because of what the original brand did for it? Coke, Kleenex, Tupperware, Ziploc baggies, yep. How about Jell-O? You know, it took me a long time to even realize that gelatin was the same thing as Jell-O. But yeah, those are brands who just really figured it out. How about non-product brands? There's one you guys probably use every single day that has become a verb. Google. Google. We Google it, right? Whether you're on Bing or Yahoo or whatever search now is known as Google it. Go Google it. That's a strong brand, guys. That's a strong brand. Good question, Gary. It says, is brand identity that important for eBay or Amazon? So Amazon, in the private label part of things, yeah, brand is what you're establishing. How many people buy shampoo, right? But they go buy a specific brand. So, this is where it applies really. If any of you are doing private label, this is where a lot of private labelers are not doing their due diligence and building this, is you have to build a brand. A private label is a brand. So you're building a brand and then you're hoping that it gets found and purchased on Amazon. So super important for those products. On eBay, if you want to build a loyal customer base as opposed to just selling stuff on eBay, super important. You want people to remember you. And my goal in this is that eBay becomes secondary to you developing your own website where you can bring people to. This is going to give you the freedom to, yeah, you can stay on eBay. You can still use that, bring in your customers, but work on building your standalone so that if anything ever happens to your eBay account, heaven forbid, eBay disappears tomorrow, you've built a brand, you have your customer base, you're still in business. That's why I am so passionate about this teaching, because I don't want anybody to tell me they had to go get a job because their eBay account got closed, right? You guys are still calling off some companies, yeah. But is there really a business on eBay that people recognize? Absolutely. Why do you guys think some of the big brands actually come to eBay? Wayfair. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who else is on there. Toys R Us. I'm sure you've seen them. Why would Sears? Goodwill, Target, thank you. Why do you think they're on eBay? They don't need to be on eBay. They could survive perfectly good without eBay. But they built their brand. So now if people are shopping on eBay and they see two, oh, let me come up with a product name. Somebody's shopping for drapes and they see drapes being sold by Sears versus drapes being sold by a no-name seller, everything else being equal, and these people trust the Sears brand, where are they going to go buy it? Sears. Yeah, they have a relationship with Sears. So it can be a definite advantage to build the brand, have your brand known, and still be on eBay. And now if they get new customers in because of it, guess what? Now they send them to their website. They don't have, or their retail store. They don't have to send them back to eBay. It's a beautiful thing. If you don't have a standalone website yet, don't worry. That's what we're going to be working on here, is how to make that done. I actually, jumping a little ahead here, yes, if you want to get that done, there are ways you can do it yourself, or I have negotiated an extremely reasonable rate for you to get one done with someone that I trust. But that is not yet. Let's develop the brand, develop the niche, then you'll know what to put on that site. Okay? All right. And some of you are not looking to create a brand as big as Sears, but some of you are. And it isn't just about the quantity of products, it's about the recognition of the name. So remember, this is an advanced course, and I said I'm going advanced. So use what is meaningful and works for you for where you want to grow. But we're going to be talking big, because I'm not going to hold anybody back who wants to go big. And I want to go big. Time Machine Shopping Experience will one day be located all across the country in multiple franchises. It will be a household name. All right. So let's go on to, so branding. Brand is an art, but is not the art, is what I like to say. So you have branding elements, okay? That is the colors and the I can't say that word, typography, and the layout, and all of those things are elements of the branding. But the brand is perception, awareness, and value, and where it all comes together. Okay, brand is really, perception is the biggest part of it. It is what people think when they see the name of your company or your logo, because we all know a lot of companies don't even have their name in their logo, and you automatically go, yep, 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 I know who that is. So branding is the art of aligning what you want people to think about your company with what people actually do think about your company, and vice versa. That was a quote by Jay Baer, who I follow. So here's where creativity comes in, along with your personal story. So that really is the essence of what a brand is. It's your own unique piece, what you bring to it, your vision, your experience, your specialty. So this is true for both personal branding as it is for business branding. And the difference between those, personal branding is like what I've done with the Danny app, which is now Niche to Success. I'm a personal brand versus a business like Utterly Good Stuff, which is a business brand, okay? Works for both things. So the key is really reaching down, pulling out the authentic, unique you, or the uniqueness of what you want to build, and be different than everyone else because your story is different, okay? So a strong logo, it can be the visual representation of how you communicate that story. So it ties the emotion in with the text, and brings it all together as something very recognizable. So your logos should support the brand strategy that supports an even bigger brand story. Okay, and we're going to go more in depth into this, and I'm laying the foundation for you guys so you really understand what a brand is about, so you know how to build one, so you know how to start, because this isn't going to happen today. It's probably not going to happen, maybe even not over the next week for some of you. This is something that you really have to think about, and I can tell you it's never completely done. You're always looking for new ways to convey the story and give across the perception that you want people to have about your brand, and that can change over time. I mean, eBay is a good example of that. eBay has changed a lot in the last 20 years, so it doesn't change the main structure and the main vision of the company, but it's changing the perception. Right now, eBay's got a really tough job changing perception, unfortunately, but they're working on it. So branding is more than the name and the symbol. Brand is created and influenced by people, visuals, culture, style, perception, words, messages, PR, which is public relations, opinions, news media, and especially social media. Like when a child is born and given a name, a brand needs nurturing, support, development, and continuous care in order to thrive and grow. Some brands have a life cycle and grow old like people. Some brands are timeless and never die, are born again or reinvented, while some brands live a short but powerful life and have an iconic legacy. That's a quote from Lisa Beyer that I absolutely love, because that kind of catches it all in a nutshell. So I love the imagery of thinking of your brand as a baby. Now, some of you, your brand is a toddler, or maybe it's a teenager. So kind of thinking about where you are in the life cycle of that brand, and are you creating something that will be timeless? Brand is a reason to choose. I mean, that makes it really simple. If we just narrow it down to that, it is really what can cause someone to choose you over somebody who's selling something similar or the same as you, right? So we're gonna play a fun little game with this, and I am going to have you guys get really in tune to what you're feeling when these logos come up. You good with that? I'll get a couple of yays, a couple of check-ins here. Good. Okay. I think this will be fun. All right. So you need to choose between this one and this one. What do you choose? And tell me why. Okay, I'm getting Starbucks, Pete's, Starbucks. It's some of you are saying because you've barely heard of Pete's. Yeah, they haven't done quite as big of a job as getting out there. I don't even like coffee, but I like mermaids. I'll take it. Atmosphere. Okay. And so those of you who are choosing Pete's, tell me why. And if you remember the story from last week, Pete's and Starbucks are not so far separated product-wise. Oh, you like the logo. Okay. The logo appeal. So tell me more about that. What made you drawn to the Pete's logo? So a lot of you are saying, Starbucks is known. It looks friendly and warm. Okay. Awesome. Okay, let's try another one. Subway or Jimmy John's? So we've got Jimmy John's, Subway, Jimmy John's, Subway. Ooh, says they are way better. Jimmy John's, better quality, toss up, Subway, depends, do I want to sit or grab and run? So I will tell you what I know about Jimmy John's and why I would make the choice for them. They deliver. That's the biggest thing I know about Jimmy John's is they deliver a really good, what they call a gourmet sandwich. Subway is more about going in and designing your sandwich. Same product, two completely different brands. It's still a sandwich, right? Still a sandwich. Okay, let's do another one. Mattel or FisherPrice? Now dig into this one. I want to know the emotion behind your choice. Tell me why. Tell me why. Oh, you like the powerful blast of Mattel. Mattel because of Barbie. FisherPrice, little kids. Okay. Wider variety of toys, ages. Mattel because it's my childhood. And they have little people. You guys know FisherPrice for those little people. Either, not a big difference, okay? Mattel, more selection. FisherPrice, still love the old little people. Okay, see there, but and you guys know that's emotional, right? Those little people did something for you. There was a reason. Yeah, those of you who picked one over the other, there's something in there you remembered. All right. Let's see. What do we got next? Okay, how about this one? We don't want to leave the clothing people out. We got Ralph Lauren or Tommy Hilfiger. So we've got a Tommy, a Ralph. Ralph. I like horses. Ralph Lauren, better quality. Okay. At least the perception of better quality, right? Tommy, more comfy. Ralph can be nicer, higher end. Looks more, which one looks more sophisticated? Tommy Hilfiger, more relaxed style. Ralph Lauren. Okay, okay, good enough. Good, good, good. Okay, so let's now start talking about the positioning of those brands. And there are 6 key elements of brand positioning. Now, if you printed out your Building Your Brand worksheet, we're going to talk about the 5 key elements of brand in a moment, but this is a little bit different here, okay? These are the elements of brand positioning. So you have your brand target. Now that is the niche that I keep talking about with you. That's your target. You have your brand personality. That is the voice of your brand, how you want to talk to people. Are you sophisticated? Are you friendly? Are you fun? Are you serious? You know, you wouldn't want to be selling funeral parlor or funeral accessories and things. What are my words today? And be fun and funny about it, right? That would not be a good brand personality for somebody who deals with funeral items. Same as with somebody, give me another example that would be inappropriate. So let's say I am selling toddler toys. What would be a wrong personality for toddler toys? Serious, yes. Uppity, formal. Okay, you guys are lewd and perv and creepy. Yes, those would be bad. Yes, you wouldn't want your mascot to look creepy. Okay, you guys are funny. All right. So brand story, your essence of your brand is what we just talked about a little bit, right? Brand hierarchy, which we're going to talk about a little bit more in just a moment. Your brand vision and your brand promise. Brand promise is really important. Your brand promise is what you are going to deliver to that customer. So let's talk about that. As you can see in this graphic, everything comes back to your brand promise, which is your single promise you make to all consumers across all communication. This has to stay consistent, okay? In that, you have your target market, aka niche. You have to look at key competitors, key products or categories. And you really need to look at like future lines. So if you're doing private label and you're looking at adding lines to your private label, you have to consider that. Your vision, your brand essence, the core of what your brand stands for, those values that underlie the promise. The hierarchy, which is the functional and emotional benefits we provide to consumers, okay, because we're doing both. We're delivering products, we're shipping it out, we're fulfilling their orders, but there's also some emotional things that we need to give them, the good customer service, you know, follow up, if you do things even in the packaging, you know, that let them know that you care, give them a phone number to call, those type of things. And then of course your brand personality. And on the bottom, that just represents the imaging. So all of that is representing your brand promise, okay? This is what is really important to people. They want to know what they're getting with a brand. That's why people trust a brand. That's why people become loyal to a brand, because the brand makes a promise and then they have an experience and the brand delivers on the promise, okay? Super important. So we're going to get a little deeper here because we have our idea of what our brand is saying, where we'd like the brand to be, all of that. But then there's always that place of what our audience currently believes, if we're already established, what our audience would value, that may not be what we're trying to tell them to value. And in the middle there is where you're going to find the sweet spot of making it work. Now, if you are going to go through a rebrand, if you've been established for years, and I will let you know that Utterly Good Stuff is going to do this, because Utterly Good Stuff is going to turn into Time Machine. And so we've got to be really careful that we don't lose the position that we've built up over the years. We still have to balance going forward and still keeping the current brand experience that our customers are used to. So you guys are going to get to witness that whole process. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. So one of the worst positioning mistakes you can make is to deny a position that you've spent years of hard work and countless dollars earning. And sorry guys, I lost my place here because I am reading notes. Extending a brand position doesn't happen overnight. Let me just give you a little quote from Jeff Bezos. This kind of sums it up. A brand for a company is like a reputation for a person. You earn reputation by trying to do hard things well. People notice that over time. I don't think there are any shortcuts. Okay, and a brand is the same thing. So we'll see Gary and Sharon's brand in a moment of Sensational Finds. They've had this brand now, it's been a little over a year, right, Sharon? You guys you developed it, you've been working on it, but it's not done yet. This is an ongoing process, and they're building up their brand reputation, and it's gonna, yes, over time, yeah, a little over a year. But it's starting to take hold, I bet. I bet your customers are starting to feel like now they can trust your brand and you've been consistent, and that's only going to improve. So just always stay grounded, you guys, and don't think that this is an overnight process. It's always a work in progress, okay? So I am using a lot of different words, terminology, and I just want to make sure you guys don't get hung up on the words, because it's really about the concepts, not the words, okay? Just wanted to give that little reminder, because in some of my graphics, there's some different wording used for some of the same concepts, and I will try to make that clear as we go along. But I just wanted you to know that. These are concepts, and they're things you can put into action. So they're described different, and I want to tell you that also, because as you are starting to do your own research and you Google different articles and things, you'll see things that are interchanged that mean the same thing, okay? All right, so let's talk about the brand positioning, touch points. Everyone know what a touch point is? Your touch points are all the places that people come in contact with your brand. So that could be social media, it can be your website, it can be eBay, any place that the customers come in contact. It can be during a transaction when they open the package, if you have packaging in there. So those are your touch points, okay? Of course, we just got done talking about positioning. That is why you are different from your competitors. And then your key or core message that connects to the customers. I want to go back and talk about Starbucks, because I think it's a really good example and I love to use it. So most people would say Starbucks is in what market? What market is Starbucks in? You guys are all saying coffee, and that is normally what people would think. So let's look at the coffee market. In the coffee market, Starbucks competes with grocery stores, convenience stores, fast food restaurants, and other coffee shops, right? The coffee market is tough, it's competitive, and in many of those places, the profit margins are very slim. And so in the coffee market, Starbucks isn't usually competitive on price. Anybody think that Starbucks is competitive on price? No. Right, they are definitely not the cheapest. So the company managed to convince the world that coffee that used to cost 50 cents a cup was actually worth $2 or more. Starbucks may no longer be the most expensive coffee in the world, but there are definitely plenty of places you can find coffee cheaper, right? So when it comes to taste, Starbucks doesn't have a huge advantage, right? It's good coffee. I know a lot of people think it's good coffee. Despite what their marketing folks might tell you, it is not the best coffee. It is not the best coffee. So only hardcore Starbucks addicts would tell you it's the best coffee out there. Do I have any of those in here? Yes, that's your perception. That is, but they've done a really good job of convincing you. So everyone's tastes are different, but most of us probably wouldn't have too much trouble finding a cup that tastes better. So convenience is pretty important in the coffee market simply because many people are in a rush to grab a quick cup on the way to work. And Starbucks stores are nothing if not, okay, you guys, this is my new word. I love this word, ubiquitous. Oh, I like that word. So I'm going to be using that word today, which it actually means they're present, they're found everywhere, right? So the only thing as ubiquitous as Starbucks is a line at Starbucks. So even though you can find Starbucks stores everywhere, after standing in line, it'll still probably take you 10 minutes or more before you have your coffee in hand. So in a market where price, taste, and convenience are all very important, Starbucks doesn't look like a strong competitor, does it? When we just like put those facts out there? Yet, Starbucks has over 16,000 stores in 50 plus countries around the world and does over $10 billion per year in revenues. Yeah, almost makes it hard to believe that Starbucks could have grown this big by simply competing in the coffee market. So in addition to competing in the coffee market, not that they don't compete there, but their differentiator is that Howard Schultz has been known to say that Starbucks is competing to be your third place. And what that means is you want to hang out there. Your first place is your home. Your second place is your work. The third place is Starbucks. So it's a whole different set of competitors for that, right? So what would be some competitors for that third place? Any ideas? So Panera Bread, bookstores, bookstore coffee shops, gym. Okay. So Starbucks is really competing with bookstores, bars, restaurants, parks, libraries, all the places you might want to hang out and spend your time away from and work, right? So think about Starbucks and social gatherings. Exactly. This is how they positioned themselves in the market so they didn't have to compete with the wildly competitive coffee market, right? So they're not just about coffee. They also created an experience and an environment. That's why Starbucks spends so much time with the music, the ambiance, and the whacked out drink names that make you feel like you are reciting chants when you order them. You have to hear me say the mocha choca latte vente frappy wappy. Yes, that was all planned, you guys. That is part of the brand experience. It's all part of creating an air of comfort, relaxation, familiarity, exclusivity, and all the other things that you look for in your preferred hangout spot. It's why they ended up attracting such a certain type of person that you see hanging out there. Not that that's the only person that goes in there, but it's a majority. It's the cool cultural place to be. So every time you go into a Starbucks, you see tons of people who have their laptops open or they're reading the newspapers or they're meeting with friends or business associates. associates. That and $10 billion in revenues per year says there must be a lot of other people who are in the market for a third place like Starbucks. So small business owners, salespeople who work on the road, people who need to get out of the house, clearly the Starbucks positioning in the third place frame of reference must be working, or there wouldn't be a Starbucks in every corner. Yeah. See how powerful that is, you guys? It's really thinking outside the box when it comes to your business and who your competition is. And I got to tell you, so we're opening a coffee bar within the Time Machine shopping experience, and we just saw they started construction and put up a sign saying they're putting a Starbucks across the street. I'm not real happy about that, but yet now I'm going, okay, so we cannot position ourselves as a cool place to stop just for a cup of coffee. We have to really position to be something completely different than what Starbucks is offering. So you'll see that in action. That's why I've done my homework on Starbucks lately. So the other thing you need to know is that being different just for the sake of being different won't work unless it is something your customers want or would value. And of course, you guys know I had to use a cow in here, so we throw a purple cow in there. But it's like, is that really something that makes a difference to people, right? I'm going to put this in more understandable terms than a purple cow for you, of course. So how about Mexican food? Anybody like Mexican food? Yeah, yeah, it's pretty much, it's hard to find somebody who doesn't like Mexican food. Yeah. You can go anywhere in the United States and find a Mexican food restaurant. But even though there are probably lots of people out there who love Mexican food, our guess is that Mexican restaurant business is pretty tough. Would you say there's probably a lot of competition? Yeah. I mean, here in Vegas, holy smokes, there's one on every corner. Yeah. How do you decide where to go? So there is a lot of competition, and many of the restaurants tend to look and often taste alike. So if you wanted to open a new Mexican restaurant, how could you ensure it would stand out? Any ideas? So if you were thinking in terms of creating solid points of difference, you'd probably start by thinking about what customers would value in a Mexican restaurant. So what are some of the things that you value in a Mexican restaurant when you go out? Price, ambiance, choice, homemade guac, quality, speed, good service, large portions, authentic, warm chips, maybe live music. Okay, those are good things. Cleanliness, freshness of ingredients. I happen to judge a Mexican food restaurant by the salsa. That has always been, they can have the best actual entree, but if the salsa sucked, I don't want to go back. That's my claim. All right. So we know all these things are attractive about a Mexican food restaurant. So you're going to open this new restaurant in a place where there's many other people who shared this idea of what's important in a Mexican restaurant. So let's say there were also a lot of Mexican restaurants already open, competing for the attention of people who valued price, quantity of food, good margaritas, good salsa. So to stand out, you might consider something different. You might be more keyed in on the cleanliness or the freshness of ingredients as some of the things you want to focus on, but still, what is still going to make you different? So by focusing on these things, you could make your restaurant fit in, people will check it out, but you're not going to get a real big victory, right? So what if you claim to have the best, most incredible, authentic Mexican pozole? You guys know what pozole is? Pozole is a Mexican stew made from pig's feet. Yummy. And that was said with pure sarcasm. Yeah, no, I mean, it's truly, it's an authentic Mexican dish. It's widely known that no one in the entire world can make a better pig's feet pozole than you, okay? So you got this. You're an expert. You should be very proud. But this would not be a good point of difference for your restaurant. Why? Why, guys? Even though it's something that makes you really, really different, why wouldn't you want to concentrate on that? For exactly the reaction that you had when you heard it. Most Americans aren't that crazy about pig's feet, and no matter how good your stew is, they probably won't buy it from you. So your pozole is certainly different and probably very tasty, at least to those into that sort of thing, but it's not something your customers would value. So it's not a good point of difference. So get the idea? Or am I just making everybody hungry? Or taking your appetite away? On the other hand, you could make the world's best enchiladas, and you could position based on that claim. See the difference? Or margaritas. Yeah, make something special about your margaritas. Yeah. Okay, so that really just makes the point about be careful what it is that you pick to be different and make sure that there is value to the customers out there. Now let's talk about points of parity. Parity is where you're the same, where you can't differentiate because it just is what it is. You know, you are a coffee shop. That's for Starbucks and every other coffee shop. That's a point of parity. Okay, you're going to have those with your competitors. So let's take Walmart and Target. You guys know Walmart is one of the most intimidating competitors in retail, right? They have developed a key point of difference around everyday low prices that is almost impossible for competitors to match. You really can't compete with Walmart on price, right? And even though we kind of think they suck, we still keep going there for the cheap stuff. Holy smokes, I was in there the other day just because I knew it was the place that would have what I needed at the price I wanted to pay. It just is. So even though I'm not a big fan of Walmart, I know what the brand stands for, and they've done an enormous job at that. They're huge. They have efficient operations. They have incredible pricing power, and they can beat pretty much any competitor's price, right? They have used this to become the largest corporation in the world. And if you were faced with an enormous competitor like Walmart, wouldn't you just fold up and just say, nope, not doing it? Not even going to try? Oh, well, Target did not do that. Target is the second largest discount retailer in the United States. It has actually prospered in this tough environment, ranking number 30 in the Fortune 500, and that was several years ago. I did not look up current stats, but they're still way up there, and they are still a household name. So how has Target managed to do that? Anybody have any ideas? Ah, you say Target is a little step up from Walmart. Funny you should say that. Funny you should say that. So while they recognize the parity in the market, they also recognize what they can do to be a bit different. So is Target always the cheapest? No. It's pretty difficult to always beat Walmart on price, but are Target's prices good enough? Yeah, we still know them to be a discount store. Yeah, exactly. So they're good enough, and given how much better designed many of their products are and how fashion forward much of the clothing is, many people in certain demographics choose to buy from them instead of Walmart. Absolutely. And you've seen Target bringing in these designers to do an exclusive line for the Target customer to make it a little bit more of an upscale discount. So they're not trying to beat Walmart on price. They're simply trying to create enough parity around price that their point of difference around fashion and design becomes the deciding factor for their consumers. So it's a great example of using a point of parity and a point of difference together. And then it's a 1-2 punch that has worked very well for Target. Yeah, and yeah, they're making some marketing mistakes. They're making some decisions, you know, with the brand and the brand promise and all of that that's giving them some hits, and only time will tell how that's going to work out for them. And if it suits their ideal target market, then it does. Like, I probably was never their ideal target market to begin with, so whatever they do that makes me want to go there or not really is not going to affect their bottom line. So remember that. Target, yes, that is what we call them too, Target, which has also become a household name. Yep, yep. All right. Do you guys understand the parity part, though, is what you need to get from this? Didn't want to so much get into conversation about Walmart or Target, but how they've used a point of parity to work for both of them, yet be completely different. Good. All right. Okay, your brand mantra. So which is really the essence of your brand. Now, this is where it gets a little confusing and tricking for people. Your mantra is not your tagline, okay? We're going to talk about that in a minute. So your brand mantra is a short, usually 2 to 5 words maximum. It really takes the whole frame of reference of your brand, the points of difference, the points of parity, and everything else about your brand, and it puts it into one thought. So it is a brand positioning, it is to brand positioning what triple distillation is to liquor. Okay, they both remove the impurities, refining and simplifying to an essential form. Yes, I read that because I loved that analogy. So it's really honing it into that thought that just encompasses what your company is all about. Okay, that is your brand mantra. Yes, so Sharon just asked, is that our fun intended? Exactly. That is what you really, you drum it all down to you want everything about your brand be fun intended, which is cute because it's a play on pun intended. So that works really, really well. Now, it doesn't mean that it can't be your tagline, okay? So this is where it gets tricky. It can be your tagline, but it doesn't have to be your tagline, okay? And I'm going to give you an example where it actually is. So I just want you to understand that the brand mantra, it can be really powerful. It can change everything, and it really becomes the battle cry of your brand, so to speak, because it just is a pure piece of what your brand stands for. So brand mantra was a term that actually came about when they were coming up with this, what this phrase was going to be for Nike. And Nike is about, well, let me just ask you guys, what do you guys think Nike's brand mantra is? See, I tricked you. I knew you were going to say, just do it. It actually isn't. Their brand mantra is authentic athletic performance. Authentic athletic performance, but you never hear that, right? Yes, that is the mantra of their company. That is where everything stems from. The tagline is just do it, which encompasses that. So let me see how I can explain this. So Nike's brand mantra, they put a particular emphasis on maintaining authenticity, and they wanted to have purity, integrity, and that was like most important company culture for them. All products and activities associated with Nike likewise had to be athletic, not leisurely. You notice you don't find non-athletic shoes sold by Nike. They're very, very pure to the athletic shoe, right? So every product Nike had to just exude world-class performance and meet the demands of the world's finest athletes, even though such athletes represented a microscopic piece of Nike's total business. Authentic athletic performance. It was a simple idea, but like so many simple ideas, its execution and implementing could be complex, not to mention challenging, daunting, even painful when it came down to foregoing activities because they violated these accepted core values. They had some trouble getting this all in place, but obviously you and I both know Nike as a household name for what? Athletic, not just shoes, but apparel and things. Yes. Um, and we think hardcore when we think Nike. So now, if you, and you said just do it, as you thought that's what it was. But that's their tagline that came off of that brand mantra. So it is now what we associate with Nike, because the just do it went into what the athlete is all about, right? So it stemmed from that. They could change their tagline. They probably shouldn't, though, because that's pretty good and people know it. A lot of companies do change taglines when they shouldn't, but nope, they've stayed pretty darn true to it. So do you understand? Does that help you understand like the difference? Yes, branding definitely hones in your niche. That's what it is all about. That's why we're doing this, is so that you can really resonate with your customers and create this brand that can follow you anywhere. Use it on eBay, and then 1 year decide, I'm going to go big time with this, and boom. And some of you do want to go big time with this. Some of you do actually want to develop a brand that goes to the moon. And this is the way you do that. Whether you want to stay small or go big, building the brand gives you the options. Yep. All right. So now let's talk about taglines, because I love taglines. Taglines are so fun for me. So we're going to play a little game again. So let's talk about Nike again. So the brand became more than just athletic apparel. It began to really embody a state of mind. It encourages you to think that you don't have to be an athlete to be in shape or tackle an obstacle. If you want to do it, just do it. That's all it takes. So it's a very emotionally empowering statement that they do. So people are feeling something when they see the tagline, right? It brings the right people through what we call their funnel, right? And then we have this little guy. Anybody know that company by chance? That would be Apple. Yes, it is. So they originally started their slogan, their tagline slogan, and I'm going to use those interchangeably, as here's to the crazy ones, think different. Anybody remember that when they first started having commercials? Which was really a tribute to all the time-honored visionaries who challenged the status quo and changed the world. But in essence, it was really a challenge to IBM back then, who was like their main competitor. And IBM's tagline was Think IBM. So it was kind of a little dig on IBM. And that is also, they came up with the ThinkPad product around this too. So they kind of encompassed that, yeah. So now it's just think different. Yep. But that's, yep, just those little words, very, very powerful. Here's one you probably know. I'm loving it. This campaign, and again, here I'm going to throw a word at you. Taglines can run with a campaign. And a lot of companies run a campaign and then they change and then they do something else. We'll talk about eBay in just a moment. So McDonald's ran the I'm Loving It campaign back from 2003 to now, it still stands strong. And that is because it has worked really well. It resonated with their target audience, because we all know McDonald's food might not be so good for you. It's not health food. There's no benefit of, losing any weight eating McDonald's food, right? But why do people go to McDonald's? Not just price, but let's just face it, because the food is kind of a unique flavor, and if you love it, you love it. There's people that are just hardcore McDonald's people. Yep, because your grandkids want to go to McDonald's. Yeah. So they're appealing to people who like salty, flavorful food, and the slogan just makes it clear. They're not trying to say it's healthy food. They're not going to go there. That would be really, really dumb, because everybody knows it's not. So it's really just about, I'm loving it. Okay, this next one is really interesting. Let's see. Now, do you remember what company this guy was associated with, who is not any longer? Verizon. Verizon. Can you hear me now? There you go. Can you hear me now? Yeah, so really interesting about this. This was a tagline that was created in 2002, and really it was during the time when most cell phone service was really spotty, right? You were going, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Right? Then it just became just household and then Verizon picked up on it, and then they got this little guy here to go out there and do all the commercials. So interestingly enough, he has been hired by Sprint now, and I don't know if you've seen the commercials, but it's just not the same. I think they're making a mistake. Are making a mistake, because what do we think when we see this guy? We think, can you hear me now, Verizon? I'm not so sure that was smart. But very, very, very powerful tagline, because what emotion did that key in on with people? Frustration. All right, couple more. L'Oreal, because you're worth it. Ooh, what does that make you feel? It's not the best product. It's not. But hey, you're worth it. Making it feel like it's a luxury product. It's like that you can afford, right? It pushed it out there to a market that wanted to feel special. Yes, luxurious. Yep, exactly. All right, here is a pretty powerful one. So most people think that this was an advertisement for milk, right? So it was actually the California Milk Processor Board was trying to get people to think of milk in a healthier way. And really, it kind of just took off, and it was used from 2003 to 2014 with about every celebrity you can imagine getting this little white milk mustache saying "Got Milk." And what did the "Got Milk" campaign lead into that you guys still see to this day? There's like a "got everything," right? It's like the thing we come up with. Yeah, it's like there's a company, Got Junk. Oh gosh, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but Got Beef. Yes, tons. Everybody's using the Got. It started with Got Milk. Two little words, very powerful campaign. All right. Now, how do you differentiate chocolate? Chocolate is chocolate. What did M&Ms do? I'll give you a minute. This one's got a few more words to type out. Melts in your mouth, not in your hands. Ah, just absolutely conveyed what M&Ms was all about, right? Made them so much different than all the other chocolate out there. Yep, melt in your mouth, not in your hands. Crazy, crazy simple and powerful. Bet you can't eat just one. Now, seriously, who eats just one potato chip? Was there anybody just eating one potato chip? No. But what Lay's did is they picked up on kind of the human nature of things, knowing that people do not eat just one potato chip, but they made it stand out that betcha can't eat just one kind of a thing. And they really were going after those who like those crispy, salty, good little carbs, right? Not health food again. But notice the emphasis is not on the taste of the product. Plenty of other delicious chips out there. What Lay's was able to do with its tagline is just be totally human. We got that uncontrollable nature of snacking, right? Bet you can't eat just one. I know that is one really ugly advertisement too. I have to agree. Okay, you guys know this one, right? You could probably sing the song. Meow, 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 right? They didn't have to come up with very many lyrics for that. But what is the tagline? Anybody know? Meow Mix tagline. Tastes so good, cats ask for it by name. And that's what the whole meow, 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 meow song was about. So now, whenever your cat's meowing at you, they're asking for Meow Mix, right? It made it a really, really standout brand in a very, very cluttered market. Yeah, I don't know. Is Meow Mix still out there? It probably is. They probably changed their tagline and it's not quite as effective. Okay, and these work, I'm telling you, every brand out there has one of these. So this tagline was actually created in the late 1890s for the New York Times. It was a movement of opposition against other news publications that were printing what they called lurid journalism at the time. They would probably all be rolling over in their graves right now reading the current newspapers. I won't give too much editorial there. But the New York Times didn't stand for any sensationalism, but rather it focused on important facts and stories that would educate its audience. So it literally deemed its content all the real news fit to print. And this helped the paper become more than just a news outlet, but a company that paved the way for creditable news. So the company didn't force a tagline upon people when it first was founded, but rather it created one in a time where it was needed most. It did it to really come out and stand apart. Yep. State Farm. I know you guys know this one. Again, it goes with a jingle too. You notice a lot of these really powerful ones go with a jingle. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Right. What are they conveying? Friendly, neighborly language. Yes, reinforcing that being a good neighbor is not just a slogan, it's a promise that you could trust them, that they'll be there when you need them, that they're not just another insurance company out to take your money. Yeah, that has been very powerful for them. Anyone know this one? It is one word. One word. Was created back in 1997, and there's still memes being created off of this one. Priceless. Now, do you remember? All those things, you know, hot dog, $1.49, Coke, you know, $1.99, catching the baseball, this, you know, priceless, priceless. So it had to do with whatever you use that MasterCard for, the experience that you couldn't, you know, money can't put a, you can't put a money amount on that. It's priceless. Yeah, that's MasterCard's thing. Okay, I think we got one more here. Do you know the Marines have a slogan? It's been around for a very long time. So in the 80s, they were looking for a few good men, right? They changed it to the few, the proud, the Marines. Really to the point, just high caliber, right? Makes them stand out from the other armed forces out there. The few, the proud, the Marine. It's exclusive place that you want to be if you want to be in the military. And that has worked very well for them. All right, last one. Southwest. So they've had a few different ones. The one that has probably been the most powerful for them is the one that actually came with the ding sound that you hear when you can get out of your seat, where they say, you are now free to move about the cabin. Though their slogan became, you are now free to move about the country. Yep. They've changed it. Anybody know their new one? They've changed their image a little bit because now there's a lot of airlines to move around the country. If it matters to you, it matters to us. So they're being the standout with customer service. And I have to tell you that I fly Southwest. They live that. They absolutely live that tagline, which means it's probably back there in their mantra. Yep. And of course, we have eBay. So eBay's kind of gone through an identity crisis. They started out as your personal trading community. Anybody remember those days? Your personal trading community. Then in 2001, they changed it to the world's online marketplace. Well, that doesn't really work anymore, right? So 2007, they changed it to shop victoriously. That they gone. I can't even find the dates of when they've switched since then. But in the last 8 years, they've done connecting buyers and sellers globally. Whatever it is, you can get it on eBay. Buy it, sell it, love it. Buy it new, buy it now. When it's on your mind, it's on eBay. I can't even find what their current message is. Like, this is an area I truly believe eBay has a weakness in. They really don't have that mantra anymore. It used to be the community. It is not anymore. I don't know what eBay's doing. I hope they have a team working on pulling this back together, because we really don't know what their message is, either for buyers or sellers. And I think that is a huge part of their problem, is they really have to come back and find that strong brand positioning. The fact that a lot of people believe they're trying to be like Amazon, that says they're not doing a good job of using their parity, which is, they have that commonplace with Amazon, but yet they have their difference. They have their strength, and they aren't keying in on that, in my opinion. But they aren't hiring me, so that's why we have to have these classes and make sure that you can still do what you need to do using this channel. All right? Okay. So why is all of this important? So you have your name, your logo, your identity, your brand personality, tagline, you get all this, right? But is all this enough? Is all this enough? Just having all these pieces in place? No, you need to figure out your voice, how you're going to get this out there, how you are going to be in that place now where your customers can actually experience your brand, right? So this is where we go back to the touch points. So you have before purchase, during purchase, after purchase. And so you've got the touch points before purchase are website, advertising. And advertising means that can be pay-per-clicks, or wherever you put your branding out there. Sales channels, so that's whether it's eBay, Etsy, even Amazon. You can do a very little bit of branding on Amazon, but you can do a little bit. You can get your logo in there with your name. Direct mail samples, a lot of people still do that. Email campaigns, social media isn't on this list, but very important. Then during the purchase, don't forget about during the purchase. That is the communications you have with the customer, the presentation, what you put in the package, and then you have after the purchase. Oh, before I go to after the purchase, during the purchase. Anybody ever ordered something, gotten a package, and they've got crumpled newspaper, or it comes in an old cereal box or something like that, and you just don't get the warm fuzzies that you had bought something from a professional, from a real business? That's a really key important part of your business, is giving them an experience when they get and open that package. And then after the purchase, that's your customer service, that's your newsletters, that's your loyalty programs. Billing is on here, but you're probably not doing that unless you have a standalone site at this point. Customer service, follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up, you guys. These are now your customers. Oh my gosh, this is where key, if you get nothing else from this, I want you guys to really think about how you can follow up and reinforce your brand with your customers, because this is where 99.9% of online sellers are failing to really build that audience. Okay? All right. So you've got your 5 key elements of branding. Now, these are the ones that are on your worksheet that you're going to really be working on. So your brand position, which is what we went really heavily in. I want you to really think about what your brand position is, your brand promise, your brand personality, your brand story, and your brand associations. So your brand associations, these are the things a brand brings to mind. What will people associate with your brand? Okay? And let's use the Facebook group, because this is going to take a little brainstorming and digging and really working these things out. So I want to get some really good conversations going on over there about this, and start your own thread. Like, if this is something you need help with, this, start your own thread and let's dig into it and let's help you figure this out and get those elements all in place. And there is a place on your branding worksheet, your brand worksheet, that explains what each of these is, and also a place to start filling them out. And remember, the only one that should really have any length to it is your brand story, and really think about why. And some of you struggling with the niche still, this may help you, because if you can come up with a reason for why you either are selling what you sell or why you want to sell what you want to sell, this can come back to helping you define your niche, okay? And we can definitely talk about that. What I want you to remember is there will be no perfectionism in this, because that is just going to hold you back. I want you guys, do the best you can, work with what you got, and some of you will hire somebody for help. Some of you will work on this yourself. Everybody has different strengths and weaknesses with that. So put stuff in, get some feedback. I will give you honest feedback. I will not just tell you, yeah, that looks great, if it doesn't look great. I will help you make it better, but we will not make it perfect, because this is a process, and it's a process that you could change again in, I don't want you to change it next month. Give it 6 months to a year before you change it, but it is always changeable. And the worksheet is posted over in the Facebook group. You also got it in the email that was sent out where you were able to register for the webinar. Okay. I put it in both places, email and the Facebook group. Okay. Zero in on a customer, guys. Don't be afraid to zero in on a customer. Don't try to serve everyone. Starbucks, had they tried to sell coffee to everyone, they would have been in the coffee market, right? Then their competition, they would have been drowned out. But they were able to differentiate themselves because they zeroed in on a customer, who they wanted that customer to be. They wanted a customer who needed a third place, a place to hang out. And it was a choice then between, you know, a library, a bar, another coffee shop, instead of just the coffee market. So it really was about the customer. Zero in on that customer, and this will all come easier. And if you are still struggling with that, please ask for help. But be willing that if we come up with something, you got to promise me you're going to run with it, okay? There's still kind of some niche fear out there. So definitely run with something. It may not be the perfect thing, but it can evolve, and it will evolve, and it will grow, and you'll know when you have exactly the thing that you want to do. All right, now your homework for your to-do list. Uh, Complete the Building Your Brand worksheet, which is defining your brand position, define your brand promise, determine your brand personality, write your brand story, define your brand association. Get something going. Go with something. If it's not the right thing, we can work from there, but start really thinking about this. And if you've done some of this work already, outstanding. It should be super easy to fill out. And if it's not super easy to fill out, then we need to talk about that, because then that means you may need a little bit more definition into your brand mantra, okay? Because that's what we're going to end up getting out of this, is really knowing what that is. We're going to fine tune that so that now from here, your niche, your brand are in place. Then we're going to start talking about what you do with it, and now how you start making a difference out there to your customers. Everybody good on that? Any questions about what you need to do? Sometimes when this stuff is hard for you, you could be overthinking it. Not trusting where your gut is going with things, not trusting your creative ideas. What is the story again? So your brand story is really the why are you choosing to sell what you sell. So let me tell you about Utterly Good Stuff and the story behind Utterly Good Stuff. So Utterly Good Stuff was developed out of the fact that I loved glass and I collected glass. So I had a passion for glass. I started purchasing, and I had numerous patterns, colors, types, styles, to where I was really, I had too much glass and I had to do something with it. So that is where I decided to turn around and sell my glass. In the process of that, I was also a dairy farmer. I raised Nubian dairy goats. So I knew I wanted to go with the name, with Utterly in the name. So I came up with my name, Utterly Good Stuff, long before I really defined what it was I was going to be selling. So in that, I thought, you know, nobody is ever going to associate goats with udders. So that's where I kind of drew into my personal story, and it was like, oh, my grandmother collected cows, so I am going to use the cow in her honor. So now how does that all go back to my niche? Well, it then ties in that I come from a family of collectors. I understand wanting to have quality pieces in your collection. And from there, I have evolved into, you want pieces that everybody talks about, which is now my conversation pieces. So does that make sense, you guys, how I've kind of evolved my brand? But the story has always been my story. My story doesn't change, but the way I develop and bring it forward changes. Good, 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 good. Made it more clear. So think about your story. Think about why you're attracted to the things they are. And if your story is that you love to go thrift shopping, that is your story that we can work from, okay? So there's no bad stories. There's no wrong stories. There's your story. Whatever that is, however your life experience comes into this, whatever that is, that's your story, okay? Thrill of the hunt. Me too. I love that thrill of the hunt. Brand associations. So that is what people associate with your brand. So again, going back to Utterly Good Stuff, what they're going to associate with my brand, well, it's going to be cows and udders. I've kind of created a monster there, but it works, because now look how many of you have sent me things with cows. You associate my brand with things with cows. So it's what people think of when they think of your brand associations. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out. This is another somewhat long session, but lots of important stuff. And again, don't feel like you have to get this all in a day or even a week. This is a process. Be kind to yourself and talk about it over in the Facebook group. I want every single person to come out of this with a very strong brand, with your brand mantra and your brand tagline that's not only powerful for your customers, but fun for you to put out there and be different than all of your competition. And with that, guys, go be profitable and make it fun. See you next time.